Well, hello and welcome to today's show. This is a rather, I don't know if it's a bit silly, but it takes care of a certain problem that I have. Let's roll the title. I'll come back and give you a rundown real quick. Well, all right, what we got going on here in our meat drying room is you really do need to keep it a certain temperature and humidity, and you need to be able to adjust up and down for various purposes, because what we might dry copper at is not what we would dry sausage at, etc., etc. Now, we like to keep it moist so that we dry out very slowly and we don't get our hard rings. So that often means we might need a humidifier in there just to keep the humidity up in case we're running an air conditioner and it dries it out, takes it down. Also, wintertime turns out it's usually a little bit dry in the wintertime, even though I don't have gas heat. Either which way, you need to be able to adjust your humidity, and this is a project that fixes that. Now, if it gets too high, we need to dehumidify, and I would have expected my split unit in dry mode to be able to take the moisture out, because it actually runs heat back and forth from cool to heat, cool to heat. It's less efficient, but it makes it sweat more, so we take the water out. It's not doing a good job. There's not a big problem with it. I'll just buy a little $100 dehumidifier. So we got to dehumidify to keep, if it gets too tall, so we don't get our white mold. It's not going to hurt anything. I just don't like white mold on my meat products. The other hand, we've got the other problem. If it gets too dry, I need to get it wet again. So I don't really need a humidifier that often or that much. And what I had, I'll show you at the tail end because it works. I have a fairly large boxer style fan, Amazon based. It's nice and heavy. Has within it another screen for the other side for our finger safety. It's got some screws because it didn't come with screws. We have a rubbish tin. Okay, actually this one's plastic. Hopefully it's not the type of plastic that will run, because we're going to cut some holes in it. And I have a generic, very rudimental humidifier. And it's picked for its size and the fact that it doesn't seem to have any electronic controls. It's not smart. I don't want it to be smart, because I have an existing humidity and temperature controller. Now with this device, I won't be controlling temperature, but I will be controlling humidity. And in a room where we dehydrate our meat, we don't want to do it very, very fast, and we don't want to do it terribly slow where we don't do anything more than mold up. We want things to go at a prescribed pace. And when I need a little bit more moisture, I want to produce it. Now the problem I have is my Metro style wire racks in there. I can't let them rust. They don't need to get rust. And while we have a high humidity environment, we do need to at least make sure that we're not bathing the rack above where our humidifier will sit in cool mist. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to cut a hole and put that fan in the back, cut some holes, there'll be big holes, to get the power cable for the fan and the power cable for this out of the box, the little shelter. And we can take this, we'll bring it to the edge of the Metro rack, so that when we blow the air across that device, it pushes it out into the room, and we don't waft up and make the shelf above it rust and rot. Screws, fan, bin. This goes on the other side after we make a hole. Actually, 5 holes or 7. And these are for wire ties so that we can tie it to the rack to keep it from tipping over as we push the front out just a little bit so that it doesn't have the cold, wet, dry steam, if you want to call it, the spray hitting the bottom of the rack. We also used a hole saw for the 2 cords to come through. Hey, appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, if you will, subscribe to the channel, either the YouTube or the Rumble channel, which this appears in. And if you can, check the notification bell or settings to make sure that you get notified when new videos are posted. Appreciate it. Have the cold, wet, dry steam, if you want to call it, the spray hitting the bottom of the rack. We also used a hole saw for the 2 cords to come through. Well, here we have it. Got a strain relief at the bottom. We need another one. Hold the fan cable there. Then we'll just do this. And when the humidistat turns on, it'll just turn on those 2 plugs and the fan will blow the air with some prejudice out the front. And with those little loops in the back, we'll hold the can down against the shelf. Now this is very similar to what we're doing, but what we're going to do is we're going to replace this, obviously. And the way we're going to do it is that fan in the back is about shot. And that old baby humidifier, right, it's a little bit large to fit inside of the unit, and it's running right now. It really shouldn't be. I had to check the thermostat, or not the humidistat, which is down there on the wall. Fair warning, this little bit with the little, I phoned it in, so to speak, is actually making me a little bit on the car sick side. So it may do the same thing to you. If you do, just close your eyes and listen. Well, it's installed. I pulled the controller up off of the bottom where it was down lower. Got all the wires tucked behind the rack. And of course, I ended up having to lower that top shelf just a little bit to get that 3-prong plug in the socket. There it goes. Just had a little sensor over in the general area. This is obviously on wheels, so it can roll away. Just take the loop off, unplug it, and roll it back. Of course, it doesn't have any water, and you hear how loud it is. And there I have it running. See, what I'm trying to do is to keep the moisture from hitting the shelf and rusting it, as well as blasting it out, not directly at my sausage to the right on the rack, but out in the room where the mini split can push it, because that fan runs all the time as well. Well, appreciate you watching. Remember, if you'll help me out, like everyone asked, on the digital footprint, if you'll subscribe so you get your notification when you hit the bell, and if you'll share me out, you'll help me with a little bit of exposure. That's a personal favor that you could do. Doesn't cost anything. Just if you see something you think somebody might like, kick that out. And of course, comment. Comments always help. When someone sees not that many views, if they're getting a lot of comments, that's good. If they got a lot of views and not a lot of comments, that's not bad either. But if you don't get comments and views, we have an issue sometimes. Anyway, appreciate you. I don't know if you're into this particular kind of hobby. We did some outside well stuff. That's kind of farm and land type deal. Got that off, involved some controllers. We're doing a little bit of control, simple stuff here. You can use some of these ideas for other things in your world.